Closures are one of the most confusing JavaScript topics, but you have probably used them without realizing it. What is a closure? A closure is when a function remembers the variables from its outer scope, even after the outer function has finished running. In this code snippet, we have an outer function, which has a count variable initialized to 0, and then it has an inner function, which increments the count and prints the count on the console. So the outer function returns the inner, and then we call the outer function with the variable increment. So the output will be 1 and then 2. So the outer function runs 1, and then inner function is returned. Count is not destroyed, and then inner closes over the count. And that's a closure. Now question is why count is still there? JavaScript keeps the variable alive as long as there is a function that still references them. Let's see a real world example, and this is very important. We have a create counter function and a count variable which is initialized to 0. This create counter function returns an increment function which increments the count and also returns the count. So now what do you think? Counter.increment will print for the first time. Yes, it will print 1. But what do you think it will print on the second time? It will print 2. So if you have noticed in this example, let us create private variables. It does not expose the count, but it returns the counter value. Now let's see a very common mistake that is made during the interviews or even during the programming. We have a for loop here. Now inside this for loop, we have a set timeout function, which prints the I. So what do you think will be the output when this for loop runs? The output will be 3, 3, and 3. Because var creates one shared variable. How do we fix this? We fix this with declaring the I variable with let, or which will give each loop its own closure. We use closure every time when we create event handlers, we create callbacks, we use set timeout, or if you work with front end in the React hooks or factory functions. So what is the final rule? If a function uses variables from outside itself, that's a closure, and that's it. So if closures finally make sense, like the video and subscribe to Snackable Code.